tonight's Top Gear, the best of the Geneva show. Tiff tests the Ascari. No, it isn't Italian, it's made in Wiltshire. And delivering the goods, riding with the dispatchers.
Remember the good old days? Well, they're back.
Britain is once again the place to be.
The Spice Girls went to #1 in America.
Vivienne Westwood was back in London after 3 years.
We've got Oasis, we got Blur.
The Manic Street Preachers.
Who are Welsh, but then there's Cast and Ocean Colour Scene.
And then there are films.
Every single British studio is booked up until the middle of 1998.
The English Patient is up for 12 Oscars.
Then there's Best Actress, almost bound to be British.
Mike Leigh, Best Director.
Evita, Mission Impossible, The Saint, all made in Britain.
But when it comes to motor shows,
we're almost completely useless.
the most important motor show in the world is held in a country that doesn't even have a car industry. Switzerland.
Proof. Ford has chosen Geneva to launch what must be its most exciting car since the dearly departed Escort Cosworth. It's called the Puma, and when it goes on sale in July, it'll cost around about £15,000. Worth it for the rear lights alone. There shouldn't be any handling problems because underneath it's basically a tightened up Fiesta. But there is a brand new 1.7-litre engine, which means it's good for 126 miles an hour. Now that's fast, but it's not really enough to make your ears bleed. No, that's the job of the stereo, which pumps out an incredible 330 watts. This car is Nebworth on wheels, so no prizes for guessing who it's aimed at. Are there, Kevin? And for Gervais, there's this, a slightly larger coupe from Mercedes-Benz. It's so large, in fact, that even I can fit in the back. But obviously, when it comes to coupes, space is not as important as style. And the CLK is not that bad, despite its mauveness and these rather ugly B-pillars. There's an impressive range of engines too. Four-cylinder supercharged, and V6. All in all, it's exactly what you'd expect from Mercedes-Benz. Except for one small thing. You see, the cheapest model is £25,000. £7,000 less than the model it replaces. That's amazing.
But on the Mercedes stand, the big news is the A-Class. It's making its world debut here in Geneva. It's 2 inches shorter than the Ford car, and already it's being hailed as the most revolutionary small car since the Mini. And it's not just the bold, but from some angles gawky looks that are causing such fighting talk. We've had to come backstage at Geneva to give you a closer look at the new Mercedes. That's because all the cars outside are cordoned off, because other manufacturers may get a little too close with their tape measures, because it's under the skin that the A really shows its class. Instead of the engine being directly in front of the driver, it's actually just under his feet and at an angle. There's a double floor containing petrol tank, battery, and all the gubbins. This means there's a lot more space inside than many much larger cars. And Mercedes claim it's not at the expense of safety. In the event of a crash, the engine slides back into the sandwich and not into your lap. And those engines will be brand new, 1.4 and 1.6-litre petrol and 1.7-litre diesel units bolted to 5-speed manual or automatic gearboxes. It may be smaller than anything that's worn the three-pointed star before, but the A-Class will be priced like a Mercedes. When it comes to the UK next year, it'll cost between £13,000 and £15,500. And for that much, you could have 2 of these. It's the Theatre Rossa, which will take on the Ford car, and in the next few years, new very small cars from Rover and Vauxhall. Say that the Arossa is aimed at the quiet extrovert, and certainly its styling should appeal to those who find the Ford car too unconventional, but it could also be said that it's, well, just a teensy-weensy bit dull. The Arossa is based on a shortened version of the VW Polo. SEAT claim that it will still have that car's class-leading safety. Inside, it's the widest and tallest, but not the longest in its class. There's a 1-litre manual and a 1.4 automatic. Both have power steering as standard, and there's a diesel to come. If the Ford has the edge on style, the SEAT should thump it on price. It'll be a full £1,000 cheaper than the Ford car when it comes to Britain. And at this end of the market, that really matters. It'll arrive in the UK in June, and Top Gear will be doing a full road test in the next few weeks.
Look at this. I don't think I can remember any car getting quite so much attention before. There's Luigi over there from the Como Advertiser, Fritz from the Dortmund Gazette, CNN have just got out of it trying to find an American component to talk about. Claudia Schiffer is naked just over there. No one's bothered. Everybody is talking about the new Audi A6. The cheapest 1.8 is designed to slightly undercut the BMW 5 Series by being around £22,000. The most expensive 2.8 V6 will be around £30,000. In the fullness of time, there'll be a V8 and a choice of saloon or estate, and of course, front-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. Excuse me, Marcy. So many suits. We'll have to wait till we review it on Top Gear in a couple of weeks' time to find out whether the new A6 will suit them.
But as usual, new models are only half the story at Geneva. There's a veritable craft there of Europe's more obscure manufacturers and a whole host of concepts which give you at least some idea of what cars of the future might be like, or at least what drugs the designers are taking at present. This is Chrysler's fabulous Phaeton.
No friends, how about this single-seat V8 supercharged Rinspeed Mono Ego, which was designed by French couturier Jean-Charles de Castelbajac. Now that's all very well, but think about it the other way around. If Gordon Murray, who did the McLaren, suddenly took it upon himself to design an item of clothing, he might come up with a shell suit.
To pass up the chance to do something wacky come showtime, and this year is no exception. This year they've decided to do, of all things, a mobile laboratory. It's called the Pangia, which apparently is Greek for the whole of the earth. Mobile laboratories might be a bit of a niche market, but strip away the high-tech trappings. The Pangia gives us a good idea of how Renault's new range of vans will look, and what the inside of next year's new Clio will be like.
Kept secrets in the whole world is that in the year 2000 there will be a new Mini. All we know so far is that it will be larger than the old one and a lot more expensive. This isn't it. It's a concept which Rover have brought along to show how they're thinking. It's fantastic. It's got a little 3-cylinder engine which is mounted under the rear seat. Now by putting it there you get better crash protection at the front, and you end up with a mid-engined rear-wheel drive, wheel at each corner sports car. Of course, if you want practicality, there's a 5-door version which has more space on the inside than a 7 Series BMW. You know, all the technology needed to build these cars is available right now. So Rover, what are you waiting for?
And if all that's too far-fetched for you, here's a roundup of some of what's been launched or reconditioned since the British Motor Show last October. Peugeot's Rancho prototype has more than a hint of its top predecessors. It's two-wheel drive, despite appearances to the contrary. It'll be out in Europe this autumn, available in the UK, probably.
BMW's astonishingly good 5 Series is now available in touring form, providing club-class transport for your Labradors.
While we're on the subject of estates, VW have made a nice job of squaring up their Passat. Prices will start at $15,500 for the 1.6 and go up to $24,500 for a 2.8 V6 with four-wheel drive. All very well, but there's still no hatchback version.
Finally, on the estate front, Volvo has changed the name of its 850 to V70. So you can tell them apart. This one is now smoothed off, and there's a roof airbag which works like this. They've also taken the roof off their new coupe to make this extraordinarily un-Volvo-esque convertible.
Renault has also taken a chainsaw to the Megane coupe to create this rather neat drop top. And as the coupe only had enough room in the back for a couple of small otters, you can now do away with the rear seats and fit this nifty device. Renault call it a road box.
As far as off-roaders are concerned, well, it's Honda's turn with this, the new CR-V. Looks like it could easily tackle the pavement outside Fortnum and Mason. For us, though, the most amazing, the most startling car at the entire show is the new Suzuki Wagon R+. It's, well, what's it saying on the press pack?
It's Suzuki's innovative new world vehicle, which cannot be classically defined.
You're damn right it can't.
Well, it looks like a four-wheel drive MPV, but it is in fact a 1-litre hatchback available in a number of challenging packages.
I'm not so sure about this whiter-than-white interior, but I'm very sure indeed about this. Here we are, teetering on the brink of the 21st century, and Suzuki has reintroduced the Morris Traveller look. We need to get out of here before I say something rude.
Behold, the Ferrari. More than a car, the iconic schoolboy dream. And none is more desirable than the gorgeous 355.
And if you've got £90,000 to spend on a sports car, there really is only one choice. True, if you want to be a bit more practical, you might go for the 911 Turbo. But now, if you want to be a bit more British, you might go for this.
The race-bred Ascari FGT. The Ascari is very sleek, very yellow, and with a 4-litre BMW V8 in the back, it's a thrill to drive. With only a dozen being built each year, it's also very exclusive, as well as being an instant crowd puller on the road. Not bad for a car made in Wiltshire.
And when it comes to accelerating, the Ascari goes from 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds. Second gear will take you to about 80 miles an hour. And in fact, the gearing's probably a bit too long for road use. You need first gear for the tighter junctions. But then, that's my only problem. What's the problem?
Well, there is some work involved in getting the performance, especially in this prototype, which has rather heavy controls, with the steering in particular a real bicep builder. But fear not, power assistance is on the way.
In these wet and greasy conditions, the handling of the Ascari is a little bit of an acquired taste. The heavy steering means that you don't really have too much of a feel for when that back's going to let go. And with this sort of power, it does let go.
Don't try this at home, kids.
With a car like this, the only way to really safely find the limit is to find a great big space of tarmac and then just go quicker and quicker and whoop. But you see how quickly that broke away. It all happened a bit sooner than I expected.
What the Ascari does have is impact. From certain angles it's striking, every inch a £90,000 car, mean and low enough to be from the stable of Lamborghini. The rear wing looks average, but the shape still works with brutal short overhangs. The term racer on the road fits perfectly, and a 540 horsepower twin turbo version is planned. But the BMW standard 286 feels plenty enough. Too much, in fact, for town driving. However, Ascari's choice of the expensive but highly developed engine, as opposed to the ubiquitous Rover V8 lump, means it's very tractable at all times. Wherever you go, there's always plenty of attention. But what you really need is a bit of open road.
For long-distance travel, the Ascari is remarkably refined. Cruising along at 70 miles an hour in fifth gear, the BMW engine is ticking over at just 2,600 revs. The radio works very well, the heating and ventilation works well, and these leather seats are surprisingly comfortable. So when it comes to road use, the Ascari certainly doesn't suffer the discomforts of a racing car.
But you do suffer from the sheer effort needed to drive at slower speeds. And there's a fair bit of tram lining that sees the car dart this way and that as odd bumps and cambers lead it astray. The Ascari demands to be driven faster to escape its low-speed handicaps and explore its 170-mile-an-hour potential. But of course, you can't do that on the roads. It's very illegal and would quite rightly attract the attention of the boys in blue. No, I hadn't been speeding. They just wanted to have a closer look. I kept the speeding for the test track. And it's a track that best suits the Ascari. It's a stunning-looking racer that rates highly as a driving experience.
But despite the fun I've had, unless you're determined to buy British or determined to be very individual, when it comes to a road car, I know where I'd spend my 90 grand.
With their new picnic, Toyota think they've invented a whole new market niche for so-called family fun vehicles.
Of course, they haven't. Take away the playful name, the jaunty two-tone paint schemes and the shades of Ford Anglia styling, and what you have left is simply a shrunken MPV.
That's the market where the deserved favourites are from Seat, Volkswagen and Ford, with their cloned set of Alhambra, Sharon and Galaxy. In comparison, the Picnic's a teeny bit easier to manoeuvre, and with less weight to lumber about, its 2-litre engine gets it to 60 a couple of seconds faster. It's also a few £100 cheaper, spec for spec. Prices start at under 16,000 and finish at 19,680 for this GX model, complete with column change automatic, twin sunroofs, ABS and air conditioning. The downside of this downsizing is less interior practicality. Your Picnics will be limited to 6 rather than the usual 7, and the front seats don't spin round a la proper MPV. Both sets of back seats are rather cramped, and if you really are going on a picnic, you may well have to jettison the last lot altogether just to fit in the hamper. If you can live with the orthodox interior, though, you will enjoy an effortless and comfortable drive, just not a very involving one. The picnic may not be a revolutionary product, but with its hint of something different and the usual sleep-easy Toyota reliability, it is well worth considering if you're undecided between a traditional estate car and a full-blown MPV.
It's just not fair. If a car's looking a bit old and sad, it gets some new wheels, some funky upholstery, and everyone's laughing.
However, there is nothing that you could do to this aged and asthmatic motorcycle that would make anyone smile, short of riding it off a very high cliff. Especially when you attach one of these to it. Because, like a cloven hoof or 3 sixes on the top of your skull, this is a sign that you are the spawn of Satan. This box means that you are a dispatch finder.
They weave all over the shop. They fight like City and United. To town dwellers, they're motorcycle riding vermin.
But we don't go for that stereotype. Dispatching is tough work. So the next time a bike flashes by you, clattering your wing mirror, the rider defying death and mutilation for £1 a mile, just be thankful you're not stuck behind yet another car. So strap on your waterproof pants and come with me down the pothole road that leads to the world of dispatching.
Our tale begins in London. Obviously people have been delivering packages since the package was invented. But in London in the 70s, companies wanted quick deliveries and traffic had slowed to walking pace. The walking pace of an old man with a heavy bag and a stick. Now there are 10,000 riders in London earning 25 grand a year if they can stand the pace.
The best thing about it is riding a bike. It's enjoyable. I really do enjoy it because you're doing something different every day. You see something different every day when you're out on the road. But it is enjoyable, and as long as you look after the bike and it keeps running, you're going to keep earning your money.
Fine, but there is something that's quicker than a courier, and that's the ambulance that tends to them when they have an accident. The law of averages states that riding 200 miles a day in London traffic increases risk, and crashing is an occupational hazard.
I was doing about 30 miles an hour and I got hit by a truck. He turned across 3 lanes of traffic and I was on the inside lane, and did a bit of a Superman dive and did a somersault in the air, landed on my elbow. Took about 7 stitches in my arm. I was in the next day and got on with it.
I was a dispatch rider for 5 years and I probably had about 5 crashes, so it wasn't too bad, and touch wood, I was never injured, so I was one of the lucky ones, I think.
So, you want to learn all about dispatching? Well, the Camelot School in London will teach you everything you need to know in 6 weeks. You learn where you're going, radio control, and the bike, fuel and insurance are free, as long as you've been out of work for 6 months or more.
And if that hasn't whetted your appetite, it certainly has mine. So with thundering predictability, I'm going to have a go. Yippee. I'm in South London, I have £22 in my pocket, which is enough to hire this motorcycle. They tell me it's very durable.
For 2 days hire, I'll also need insurance and AA cover. And as I sign my life away, I learned that the proprietor of this courier's oasis in Southwark is an ex-mastermind competitor and a qualified zoologist.
Ready?
I can't wait to get cracking.
And I don't know why, I've just got a feeling I'm about to get my first job.
All right, is that Steve?
Yes?
Okay, it's one of our most important customers. You've got to get there as soon as you can. It's very, very important. Very, very urgent.
Very urgent? Don't worry, sir. Steve Berry is on the job.
My new employer has entrusted me with some important samples for a posh London client. It's pretty straightforward. I'm allowed 15 minutes to make the drop, which should be more than enough. But I'm not allowed any help from the camera car, taxi drivers or people who know where they're going. Should be a cinch. I'm on the trail with my trusty Honda CX500, the immortal plastic maggot. It can go twice round the clock with ease. I'm calm, I'm enjoying it. But this is my first time, so I asked some saddle-sore couriers about the hidden dangers.
Watch the cars, everything they do, they're dodgy.
U-turns at 40 miles an hour.
And the wind.
But there is something more dangerous than wind, and that's a courier company under pressure for a late parcel.
So we've had a few problems with traffic. I think he's got a bit lost. Look, we've got someone on it, and he's going to get there as soon as he can. Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. Okay. Yeah, I'll be there soon. Yeah, okay. Oh, is that Steve?
Yes?
Steve, what's going on? You're not there, Nick. What's happening? What's happening?
Well, I'm doing my best.
I've got the customer on the phone. They're freaking out. What is going on, Steve? Why are you not there yet?
Well, I'm not from round here, am I? I haven't got a clue where I'm going. And I didn't. As I swung into yet another blind alley and the minutes ticked by, I realised there might be a bit more to this dispatching than at first seemed, although I think I recognised that big clock. But making the drop was looking increasingly unlikely.
Right, you can turn that thing off for a start, because I am completely, utterly, absolutely and totally lost. So stop standing there and give me that A to Z. Come on. Right, let's sort this out. We are on page... what page are we on? 44. Come on, what page are we on? We're here. And we want to be... here.
Yeah.
So how do we get there?
Okay, up here, and this way there.
No, you want to come down here. Down here. Must be.
No, we've just come from there, haven't we? No, we're there.
That's where we were this morning.
No.
There? This may look a little artificial, but
Steve,
believe me, we are...
Why are you not on New Bond Street?
We're just completely lost.
Look, I did tell you, it's the most important client we've got, it's an urgent package. What is the problem, Steve?
Right, that's it. You're not cut out for this game, it's obvious.
You think you're a bit cool, you're a Top Gear presenter, you ride a motorbike around. You can ride around a motorbike on the TV, but you can't do it
in London, it's obvious. Oh, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, Steve. That's it. That's it, you're finished.
Look, I'd love to stop and chat, but I can't, because I've got to go. Because, for once, I've got some real work to do.
Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream a little dream of me.
Next week, Quentin with John Lennon's Mercedes 600. Steve Berry imports some American muscle. And a motorway legend, the Ford Transit.